And we're live from the Rez. Here with special guest, Mr. Joe Durbin, the Jason Momoa of the Indian world, some call him. Not to be confused with Bin Laden with that beard. Just kidding, man.
The terrorist of Vulcan.
Yeah, well, the terrorist of Vulcans. And then, the memes that are going around these days, I'm going to tell my kid I'm going to tell my kids this is Jesus Christ. Just kidding. How are you doing today?
I'm turning water into Thunderbird, you know what I
mean? You'll be walking, maybe not on water, you'll be walking crooked.
May you be with the spirits. I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing good.
Well, it's good to have you here. We want to go through some things. I got a list, Native American Heritage Month. Just ended. It's always right. Every November, right around Thanksgiving time. Everybody wants to know a little bit something about Native peoples, and it was an interesting month. I had a lot of experiences myself. Went to a sunrise ceremony up in San Francisco.
Yeah,
I know we went and sang a couple places all over the place.
Yeah, we've been singing for a minute.
Sharing Native heritage, and so what I have found, and I don't know if you found this, but there's always things that non-natives come and say to us natives, or ask us, or they just. And it's not like they're random, because I get these questions like a lot, like the same question. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of ridiculous because they don't know anything about us apparently.
Yeah, what does a buffalo smell like?
Yeah. Turn around.
I don't know, I'm from California.
Exactly. All right, so I kind of compiled a couple in my mind here that I know I heard this month. I don't know if you've heard them. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go right down the list.
Yeah.
And tell me if you heard it. And then what's your response? What's your typical response? Or your thought process, maybe, as you hear it? Number one, people coming up and saying, "Can I touch your hair?"
Yeah, I've had... it's a little creepy, and it's a little offsetting, but I do my best not to, freak out on the person, And sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever, or, most of the time it's like, no, get away from me, you know what I mean? I was at Pride one year with my uncle, and a guy came up and pretty much asked that question. He started touching my hair, kind of like petting it or whatever.
Like you're an animal. Can I pet you?
Yeah, and me and my uncle were just sitting there, and we were watching this dude. He was a comedian, and he was killing it. And like I said, he just walked up, and I guess he, I don't know. He might have been on drugs too. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Pride, and everybody's out there doing their thing or whatever. I don't know, but it's a little offsetting. Please do not come up to me and touch my hair.
Do not touch the animals.
Yeah. If I don't know you and you start coming to pet me, you may get punched and or something worse.
It's just weird to paw on another human, let them have their space.
Oh yeah, man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's wild.
I think what happens is there's this stereotype that natives all have long, illustrious, sexy hair.
Yeah.
And a lot of us do. Hey.
Only when my girls are around do I have good hair.
But people should know that the hair, the growing of the hair, a lot of tribes have a lot of meaning put to that. So the hair itself, an extension of the human body. Yeah. Some tribes have that part of their creation stories. Interacting with the creator. Some people talk about how it's a connection to knowledge or a lifeline that shows knowledge gained.
It's like an extension of your nervous system or something.
Yeah, and when people pass away, a lot of tribes will do in their mourning ceremonies, they'll cut their hair, and there's ceremony around that. There's, belief systems between different nations that have you only let your mom or your wife or your children braid their hair. It means something to have another random woman braid their hair.
Like on a full moon.
Yeah. So there's a lot of meaning into hair, and I don't think people outside the native peoples understand that sometimes. So they just want to come over and just touch your hair. Yeah. And it's so it's not only are you invading someone's personal space, but you might be invading their spiritual and intellectual space. You might be really offending them.
Oh, yeah. And I just try not to freak out. Yeah. Because it was kind of and my uncle was even he was like, what the hell's that dude's problem?
He's just running it.
Yeah. My uncle even tripped out too. He was like, what the hell? And I was like, I don't fucking know, man. That dude was on drugs or something.
When I was a kid, I'd sit in school, I remember being a teenager, high schooler, and if you had somebody behind you, a lot of times the girls, they'd be like, oh, can I braid your hair?
Yeah.
And then it was kind of a cool thing, you can braid my hair, and they'd braid your hair. you know.
Yeah, you're my wife now.
Yeah, now we're married. We're gonna have, but they would do that. It was kind of like a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, then you get older, you know, and you kind of learn more about it, and you're like, oh, I should be letting everybody touch my hair like that.
Yeah.
True story though. When I was a little kid here in San Diego, my dad would go sing and do presentations, and I would go along as a kid, and there's a lot of people didn't know that there were Native people still around. And I had an old lady come up to me, and she didn't pet my hair, but she just looked at me, and I remember I was just a little kid staring at her like, what's this older European American woman doing, staring at me? And I was a little nervous as a kid, but she just reached forward and she literally just touched my cheek, and I was like, whoa, what the heck? I was like,
you're a fucking wax statue?
Well, I think she was just so in disbelief that there's still Native peoples. I don't think she understood. This is way before casinos, way before. I mean, this was like in the 80s, and I think she just was like, there's real Native people, and there's a little Indian boy, and I think she was just like, she couldn't help herself. It was a reflex to go, like, to touch me, and I was like, I was a dinosaur. She was looking at me like I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah, like you're the last of your species.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Like, have you seen a unicorn? Wouldn't you pet it?
Yeah, I would try to ride it.
You would ride it. The unicorn's not your spirit animal then?
No. Oh, my God.
Which brings us to number two. Number two. Things that people that are non-native come up and say to natives.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Do you have a spirit animal?
Yeah, it's a fucking Wolverine. Leave me alone. Oh my God. Yeah, it's that one always trips me out. It really does. Like, do you have a spirit animal? You know what I mean? It's like, what do you fucking respond? I'm like, no, get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? Most of the time it's like, just shut up. You know?
Me, I always respond with an animal. I can't help it. It's like a reflex.
Just kind
I'm
of.
like, it's a bull.
Yeah, it's a bull.
A lot of bull.
Stud field mouse.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You know, like a lot of people try to find their. You know, there are nations that they have ceremonies and they give they do have something that's something like a spirit animal. You know, and it goes into a name. There's a naming ceremony and all that. But I know sometimes when people are trying to find the indigenousness of themselves, you know, they're trying to become native. They go right to, okay, my name is not, you know, so and so Smith anymore. My name's not John Smith no more. My name is like Buffalo Deer Running Calf.
Yeah,
Water over Eagle.
Believe it or not, white people have their naming ceremonies and all that stuff, and you can find that at Burning Man. Okay? That's where they transcend into like, you know, nirvana or something, and then, you know, whatever, you know, spirit guides them and their spirit animal, that's what they come back to LA with.
LA at that moment stands for elevation. They're elevated in the spiritual sense. So. No, I do see that though. I see people like, it's like almost not enough just to have the name that their parents gave them. They want to have I want to be, and it's never like, my name is a flea, or like a fly, or my name is like slow moving, you know. Yeah,
they want like some super like, you know, spiritual, you know, name, and it's like, it just trips me out. It's crazy. It's like, I'm Kumeyaay. I'm not whoever. I'm not these other people, you know, and this, that, and the other, and they're like, oh, well, we never heard of you. And it's like, well, I've never heard of your family either, so we're even. It's like, what does that have to do with anything, you know, that you're talking about? But it always trips me out. Do you have a spirit animal? You know what I mean? That one is probably like tied for number one with touching my hair.
Is it? You hear that the most?
Those are like the top two, you know, and you know, well, I can't. There's like top three, you know, and you probably have that on the list. The other one is, do you have an Indian name?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I don't.
That was actually next on the list. So we'll go right into that. Yeah, I think they kind of go hand in hand though.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
I think they do go hand in hand. You know, it's like, you have a spirit animal, and then what's your Indian name? It's
what's your Indian name?
Yeah, my name's Joe Durbin. What's your name? You know, and they're like, you know, like they're expecting me to have like some kind of like, you know, Red Hawk Man or something. You know, like some kind of crazy, you know, wild out name. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's just like...
My Indian name is Rel Talks Plenty.
Yeah.
My spirit animal is the Ligra.
Oh, the Passion Pit Rez Dog. That's me. No, but it's just very disrespectful, you know, and I want to say that they don't know that. You know what I mean? I want to believe in my hardest of hearts that they're asking... truly from the heart, that they're asking, you know, an actual question because they want to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? and they don't realize that it's pretty disrespectful to me, anyways. I don't know about anybody else. I can only speak for myself, but to me, it's kind of disrespectful. I guess I got conditioned to it, over the years, so I don't really cause a fuss. I kind of pick and choose my battles now.
Yeah. I believe it's a misunderstanding. I think there's a lot of history and names. I think that European Americans especially don't understand that history because they were brought over with their names, and it's their culture's names that have been persistent through. But like when you look at African Americans and you ask them about their names, they have their names, but going backwards, those were slave names at one point. That was names that were put on them. Yeah. You look at our people; they were put into boarding schools, they were put into these institutions a lot of times, and their traditional names were taken away, and then they were replaced with boarding school names, Christianized names, and that's where the start of those names come from. So when people start asking natives about names, they have to realize there's a history that's behind that. In our area here, many of our clan names are switched over to similar sounding Spanish names, answer names. Sometimes people took the names of people they were working for because if you didn't have a name that was Europeanized, they could take you as a vagrant and throw you in jail. And they would say,
even a person.
You weren't a person. Yeah. So if I'm walking down the street and they say, what's your name? Then I didn't have a qualified name, to their society.
Right.
They could take me, throw me in jail because I'm not a citizen. I can't speak up on my own behalf in the courts. And so they could say, well, this person is walking without a pass, and they put me out for work. They assigned me to a family for 2 years, and I'm just their forced labor for 2 years. And that happened for a long time here in the SoCal region. And there's other stories similar and other histories similar throughout California and throughout really all of America. And so the name that I would have taken in that time period, I would take the name of a family that squatted on my land or that I was working for.
Right,
so I say, oh, no, this is my name. And you kind of cling to those people or that area, and then you were kind of somewhat protected.
Yeah.
And so the whole name thing, it has a huge history. And so people just kind of come in, and I think they know that there was Indian names. They don't understand it. I think it's very intriguing. It's interesting.
But you got to come at it with like like from I don't know, maybe a place of love or whatever. Maybe it's just my perspective of it. I see it as, I just get defensive when I hear that, you know what I mean? And I have to like switch my mind into like a different mode. Like, oh, this person really doesn't know, because, and they really are asking, you know what I mean, me a personal question. It's like, hey, look, I don't have one. You know what I mean? Mine.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And then you usually get like, they want an explanation why.
Right.
And I don't have to explain myself to anybody.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, this is who I am, and I don't have one, and let's move on.
Yeah. And that's that.
Yeah. And if not, then excuse my back as I walk away.
Why don't you give me names? I'm leaving it.
Yeah.
You can name me. But like in our area, the naming was like, again, it goes back to not just like the history of the name, but like history of like losing ceremonies for us. For me, when I think about that, because I know that was part of our puberty ceremonies, that you knew what clan you were from, but then the actual name you were given, they said, was part of the puberty ceremony, going from a young lady to a woman, young man to a man. Yeah. When they were completed with that, they were given names and kind of new understandings of who they were.
Yeah, they got the women got tattooed.
They got tattooed in the face.
They got pierced. The males got pierced.
And all of that was snuffed out in our area. We weren't allowed to practice that. There was persecution while we couldn't practice those ceremonies. So when you ask somebody about these deeply spiritual things, first off, it's not a one-word answer. Second of all, there's a lot of understanding and nuance in it that you have to be respectful of and give that time. Yeah. And people don't want to give that. They just want a quick, oh, my name's Running Wolf or something. Yeah, right. And they don't want to hear the history of all of that.
I worked with a guy. His name was Running Wolf.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Was he a good runner?
Yeah. I don't know. He did. I guess he was on drugs, so I guess he did run around a lot.
Howling at night? Hey, maybe.
He was an older guy, and it was like it was back when I was 18, and he was when I was down at the shipyard building Navy ships and stuff, and he was a knowledgeable guy. Yeah. But that kind of just triggered a memory.
Running Wolf.
Yeah.
But there are guys out there, there are ladies out there who do have Indian names, have gone through ceremony, or their family has their tradition and they were given an Indian name. So you will find people like that. I have a name that was given to me by my mom's aunt when I was a little kid, when I was an infant, and she's always called me that growing up. A lot of people don't know me by it, but it's something my mom always calls me. So I don't introduce myself in that name, but it's something I have. But my kids, most of my kids don't have anything like that, and most of my brothers and sisters don't either. So it's kind of, pick or choosy, I guess, when it came up. If you were in the ceremony, they gave you a name, then there you go, But I do know this, is that a lot of Indians, people are out there maybe need a couple extra bucks. Go to Venice Beach, put up a little stand. Indian names, $5.
I'm not gonna throw any names out
like that.
I know that goes down.
I can feel your spirit animal. I know your Indian name. It's gonna be $20. Package of it all. Okay.
Hey, we got beer money. Let's go.
That is a bad stereotype, sir. You cannot say that.
I was that stereotype. I can joke about that.
That is true. All right, let's go on to the next. All right, and the next question is, or comment that people say, and I've heard this a lot of times, even when I was a little kid, I used to always hear this, is, do you live in a teepee?
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, we live in teepees just like you motherfuckers live in covered wagons still. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't circle the wagons, we're going to burn them down. That's what I always think, too, when I hear that shit. And it's like, because that was what was pushed in whatever little books in schools and whatever little, you know what I mean? It's like the Plains Indians or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like that romanticized fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not how history was. It was like, it was fucking brutal back then.
Yeah.
Some tribes did live in teepees and stuff like that, but, like I said, once again, I'm from California. My people didn't live in fucking teepees.
And I think that's what it is. I think a lot of times it's not so like they're trying to diss us or anything. I think a lot of times it's just lack of knowing. Yeah. You think about it, like when you go to school, how much did you really get about, education about Native peoples? Did you learn about, and we really should, because when you think of any culture is really dependent on two things. It's dependent on the climate, number one thing, because if you're in warm climate, you're going to dress accordingly. If you're in cold climate, you're going to dress accordingly.
Right.
And then the climate creates certain types of vegetation and the landforms, right? So the climate, and then you got the vegetation and landforms. And so you can't be coming from a ocean culture if you're in the middle of the country, not near an ocean. Yeah. And if you're living in a forest, then you're going to have a woodland culture. If you're in the desert, you're going to have a desert culture. And you can't, use elements. Our people didn't go out there and hunt buffalo because there wasn't buffalo here. So all of these things you should know about all cultures when we look at the world. You want to look at a location, you should go, okay, what's the climate? What's the topography like? What's the vegetation look like? What kind of animals do they have? And then you understand the culture. But what gets given to students in America today is that, this is the Native American. And it's that stereotypical Plains Indian. And they interject that everywhere. Yeah. Kids, all throughout America think that that's what a Native American looks like, no matter where you go. And then they go, into Canada and Mexico and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's very sad because we have such a rich history, such an ancient rich history but every part of America, every region has its own look, its own understanding, its own way. But again, people haven't had the opportunity to learn that. They haven't seen that there's been a lot of movies outside of the Plains culture. There hasn't been, education in schooling outside of Plains culture. There hasn't been, just really anything outside of Plains culture. So when you think of California natives, Cali natives, which is where we're from, right, our region, people don't think of the grass skirts and the basket hat women and the new top. They're not thinking about our old Awas, the willow bent over domes. Yeah. They're thinking, do you live in an Indian house? And it goes straight to the teepee because that's what they know. And then the other part is like all history of Native peoples, and even in college it's like this a lot of times, is that it kind of drops off around the 1800s. And there was the Indian Wars, and then it's all over. And they're like, that's like the whole entire thing, And it's like, well, what happened from the 1900s on? Yeah. The code talkers. It's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, they pushed us onto the city and stuff.
So they don't know anything new, so they just go like, you guys are still around, you're still living in teepees? Yeah. And I think, it could be a jab, but I think a lot of times they just don't know. Yeah. I think people are just clueless, man.
Yeah, I think they are too. And it's just crazy because there's a lot of cool, like, traditional homes,
Yeah.
from other tribes. I mean, there's just a lot of, and how they're built, and the labor and the time that goes into producing these things and stuff. And it's crazy how some of these things are like, they stand up to the elements too.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking good.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that people don't sometimes want to know or realize, or is the genius of Native peoples. Because when you look at really natives everywhere, it's you have like science there. Like if you look at a teepee, and it's like these people built these things in Tornado Alley. That's a conical shape. Wind goes right around. It's so aerodynamic. And you talk to the natives over there, it's like, oh yeah, we've been in we've been in tornadoes and slept in these things and survived and been okay.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that flat side where the wind's just going to tear your whole house down.
Yeah.
You look at the technologies of the north, when people are living in the snow and the ice, the people surviving in those elements using the snow as a barrier. You go to the Southwest, you got adobe.
Yeah.
We live in an earthquake zone. So California, one of the things that we've had issues with in the last 100 years is earthquakes hitting and buildings falling on people. But us, we're using willow that once the earth starts shaking, those buildings, they move. They're very pliable. They're very flexible, our willow buildings and structures that we use.
It ain't like hundreds of thousands of pounds falling on your head either,
No, you might have some leaves fall on you. Keep sleeping.
Might have a branch hit you in the head.
Yeah, you don't notice it. So it's like there's a lot of genius in that.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's you rob yourself. You kind of rob yourself being ignorant like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to ask the right questions. You just can't just ask. Do all you live in teepees and this and that, or can I touch your hair, or you know what I mean? It's just crazy stuff. But like I said, a lot of people are ignorant, man. They don't know because they've only been educated to a certain degree by some book, or they might have like one Indian friend their whole life that was a friend of a friend or something, Like, I met so-and-so, and
then you find out they're from India.
Yeah.
They're not even they're not the same thing.
He's the dot Indian, not the horse Indian.
Oh, man, he said it, not me. But, it's the people, that's their thing. People are not around Indians a lot, or native peoples. They don't know.
Native people, yeah.
I've known people that have gone to, gone away to college and stuff, and they've been in classes, and people have talked and said, start talking about Native Americans, and they said, oh, I know a Native American person, and this is what they do. And they go, wait a minute, you really know one? They've never seen one or met one. And it's like, holy crap, man.
Yeah, we did not all get wiped out in the Indian Wars.
Yeah, we're still here,
We're still here.
Catch the flu, but we didn't all die of influenza, But. So, yeah, you definitely have these. All right, let's go to the next one. And the next one is... So the next question is... when people come up to you, do you ever hear hey, are you guys all cousins?
Yeah.
And does that mean you actually hook up with your cousin? Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah, I've heard that. And, I just throw them off, I'm like, yeah, I married my cousin.
Well, you didn't, did you?
No,
I'm kidding.
I got a girl. She's from Canada.
Yeah, far
away.
Away, okay.
And when I did have a Kumeyaay girl, I went to Baja to get one.
Far away.
Yeah, I made sure that our families weren't actual families.
Yeah. And it's messed up. What I think what's messed up about asking us that is a couple things. You start talking about blood and all that kind of stuff. That's its own conversation. Maybe we'll have that in a sec. But
yeah.
But one of the problems that I see is that it really, when you look at our traditional practices, it's like we went through all of these ceremonies, especially for young men and young women, where they would know their family lineage,
right.
that they had their clans. We had a very developed clan system, and not just our nation, but a lot of tribes, probably all, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they all had some kind, our tribe had a system where they'd come through and these guys were educated on who their clan was, who their family was, and not only do they know it, but the girls that had the markings on their face to show it, people knew what clan they came from. They had these designs put into their basket hats and to the jewelry they wore, and so it was very, they were very knowledgeable as to who their family was, and it was definitely practiced that you didn't hook up with them at all. But then you got Europeans coming in, and they come from a long history of the royalty all intermingling and trying to keep their blood strong by marrying. Yeah, that's, you said it, not me, but marrying in with each other, right? And
so
not being so taboo.
That's how you get that blue blood,
Keep it strong.
Shit, yeah.
Take out the chromosomes.
Yeah.
But
they look like Sloth from the Goonies.
Oh man. Okay, we're gonna stop on that, guys. But yeah, so we had traditions against that, and you got these people coming in now who have that lineage, and they're trying to say that we are the inbreeding people.
Right.
And it's like, no, definitely not.
No, and I mean, I guess worst case scenario, we'd go and steal women and children from a different tribe.
Not our people, but I've heard other people did. Our people ever just trying to get in with us. They were over here giving themselves to us.
We go steal a little Mexican kid or something. I don't know.
No, but I mean, there's tribes. I was just talking to a gentleman over the weekend from the neighboring tribe, and he said their people were told, he was told by an elder that their people long ago said it wasn't good to marry within your own tribe. It was actually better to marry outside the tribe and bring someone in, and that was their common practice. But the moment you brought someone into the tribe, they learned the way that everybody lived, the way they spoke.
They became a part of.
They were part of that.
They were now.
Yeah, and by virtue, they were one of. They were one of by doing that. And I think a lot of nations have that same practice.
Yeah.
I know our area. If I speak our language, a certain dialect, and I go to another dialect, I'm supposed to speak their dialect as a form of respect. And when they come to our house, they better speak the way we speak. Yeah. And so if other people from other tribes came in,
where they were from, though.
Yeah, now you knew where they're from. And they'd come in and they would speak your dialect, and they'd have the respect that way, and it went both ways. And for our tribe, our people used to speak the languages and the dialects of everybody surrounding us. So it wasn't hard to go to the next tribe and to speak, communicate, and talk to them.
Yeah.
I know a lot of our gatherings a long time ago, that was the purpose, to bring people together so that your youngsters could have an opportunity to meet people who were not their family or not of their tribe, so that they could maybe get some arranged marriages, going.
Yeah.
And
what's new on the news?
Yeah, the political scene,
the gossip, whatever. What's going on? Oh yeah. It's it's definitely one of the more weirder questions.
You know what I think it comes from too? Is I think that people go to school with us or this and that, and then they're like, oh, who's that? You know that person? Oh, yeah, that's my cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my cousin.
Yeah.
That's my cousin. And that's because we know who our 10th cousins are. We know who our 5th cousins are. We know who our 3rd.
But
we have all of that.
But to me, it's like I don't explain that until they're like, well, who actually is that? They ask me, and I'm like, then I got to think. Okay, so that's my mom's.
You become the enrollment committee real quick with all the family tree stuff.
Yeah, and then I have to go into my head, and I'm like, this is my, and then eventually I'll just say, this is my cousin, right?
Yeah.
I got time to explain, that's my family, you know what I'm saying? It might be my 2nd or my 3rd,
right?
My aunt's sister's son or daughter or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that, and it's just crazy. Or
and I think
grandma's niece, you know what I mean? It's like something like that. It's like, how do you explain that to somebody, Well,
that's the thing. Their family understandings are different. Their social structures are different.
Yeah.
So for a lot of native tribes, if you're a first cousin, you're actually considered brother or sister.
Yeah.
And your brother and sister's grandkids are your grandkids. But that's not European mentality. They don't look at it that way. They say, oh, that's my cousin. And it's like
literally.
It's my dad's first cousin. I would say, oh, yeah, that's my uncle.
Yeah.
And then other people would say, no, that's just your second cousin. And it's like, not Indian way. Indian way, that's my dad's first cousin. That's his contemporary. That's my uncle.
Yeah.
And then my mom's, cousins are their best friends, her best friends that she grew up with. They took care of each other's kids and everything.
Yeah,
that becomes my aunt. That's my aunt. Now, is there blood there? Maybe, maybe not. But it's still my aunt. And her kids, who I grew up with, those, maybe there's blood there, maybe there's not. Maybe those are your cousins. So
that's how I was, that's how my understanding was.
Yeah.
My mom's sister Davine, my cousin Daniel, we grew up.
Yeah.
We were brothers.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The other way or whatever, we're cousins.
Sure.
So I just tell people, that's my cousin Daniel or whatever, but to me, in my heart, that's my brother. We grew up together since we were little boys.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just, that's how it was, and so,
But the outside culture don't have that.
Yeah, it's hard to explain
that
to somebody. It's kind of like, it's like, wait, you only have what? You only got like one brother?
Well, that's the thing.
It's like, wait, you only... It's kind of weird.
Other cultures have real small families.
And they got like 4 cousins. I'm like, whoa. Like, man, that's crazy. It's like, dude, I got a whole army of people that I can like, oh, that's my aunt, that's my cousin over there, that's my brother, that's my other brother over there, that's my,
Sure.
And stuff like that. It's just like, like you said, the whole family dynamic is a little different. And it's kind of, to me, it's foreign, and to them, it's, what our family dynamic is foreign. So
sure.
Kind of, trying to explain and stuff, it doesn't kind of cross over. I see that when they're like, they're trying to think about it,
right?
Like how when I'm explaining it, they're like, oh, and then you get like, oh, okay, I can see they kind of really don't get it, but they want to.
Well, I know, like when I went to school, there was a lot of kids who didn't have another relative at all at that school, and they're like, you talk to them, and they only have 1 or 2 first cousins. They don't know their second and third cousins, and they've only maybe been to one funeral in their whole life, and they're just very small family groupings. Whereas we still carry our old clan mentality, and a lot of nations still have their clans and structure together very strong. where you have 20 first cousins or 30 cousins or just endless amount of cousins, and we do. And like I know when the school I went to, a lot of the kids would say, "Oh, it's my cousin, that's my cousin, it's my cousin," but I wasn't necessarily related to them. We just referred to each other as cousin because it was a way of being unified as Native peoples. All those Native kids were like, "Yeah, it's my cousin." You mess with them, we're all coming after you. It was a way to be strong with each other. Yeah. And sometimes we as youngsters, I mess around like that too. Like, oh, you know that guy over there? Oh, yeah, that's my cousin. Yeah. And I know for me, it was kind of like, sometimes you don't know all your family either, and you're like, yeah, that's my cousin. You're not exactly sure. So you come home, and my kids do this to me. They're like, Dad, that's so-and-so's our cousin, right? And I say, well, no, not really. And I'll explain what their family tree looks like, what my family tree looks like. Yeah. And they go, okay. And I say, but we're kind of related because, this, and this, or we're real close to them that way. Yeah. Or so-and-so, is that my cousin? I'll say, yeah, that is your cousin. Let me explain to you how. Our great-grandmas were our sisters or whatever it is. And you go through the whole family breakdown. Yeah. The scary thing is when they become teenagers and they start asking that. Because the moment a teenage Native kid comes and asks you, hey, is so-and-so my cousin? What they're really saying is, can I hook up with them? Right. Yeah, then you're like, oh, yes, they are all your cousins.
The chemicals in the body change and everything. Yeah. And I still to this day ask my mom, I'll call her and stuff and I'll be like, Mom, are we related to these people? Because so-and-so, like I've had a couple people come up and be like, oh, hey, cuz, what's up? This and that. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I'm related to you or not, but hey, what's up, cuz? I'm just showing that respect, and then like later on, and I call my mom real quick and say, hey, are we related to these people? And I give them the last name and stuff. She's like, no, we're not related to them. Or that's your grandma's niece, daughter. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so I really am. We really are. She's like, yeah, we're really related to them.
And then another layer on it is a sign of respect. So there's a lot of elders in my community, and I call them Aunt so-and-so, Uncle so-and-so, as a sign of respect. Yeah. And it does kind of confuse the kids, but it's just a respect that we're all family as a community. And outsiders don't get that. Like, oh, that's your aunt. Oh, yeah, that's my auntie. That's my aunt as a sign of respect. That's my uncle. But you may not really be related, but you explain to your kids.
Mom. Yeah. You might have known him for 40 years, but it's like, that's still fun. We love him, but.
That is not your cousin. Hey, you're like, I thought you said that was
not your uncle. What is buying me candy? What are you talking about? It's time to go.
And then all the memes come about, the uncle, or, hydrangeas, all that stuff starts popping.
Yeah, the latest one was the one with the hat and it says Native Pride or Native American on it. It has the eagle with the feather going down the bill. It's talking about somebody's uncle left their hat at my aunt's house.
Oh no, it's terrible. I was talking to this one person one time. They're like, oh yeah, I know that person. They said come over to my house, and they're like, oh, somebody's uncle's getting somebody's auntie. But another nuance on that, another layer is that a lot of times people are taken in as family. So for me, I have family in Canada. And that goes back to my dad, who, when we used to travel up there, they took him in as a brother and whatnot. So I have uncles up there, I have cousins up there, and I got a family in South Dakota. My parents were taken in over there, so I have uncles and aunts out there. I have cousins that are there that are true blood cousins, but I have cousins that are taken in old Indian way. And so you have that, and you see families will take people in. And they become family.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
My sister fried bread, you know what I mean? Right after camp, she was going to be homeless and all that. And I was going through my divorce and whatnot. And I had a place of my own. And we just lived together, And I was like, yeah, she had, my little nephew, baby Jason and her daughter Jace. I was like, you guys can't. I was like, because I asked her, I was like, what are you going to do after? She's like, well, I'm home. I was like, no, you're going to come live with me.
She was all in. Yeah, there's a lot of people that were
like,
displaced.
I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you can come live with me and we'll figure everything out and shit. And so that's what we did.
So the last one that we'll do today, and there's many. I mean, we've heard the Gambit all night long.
10 more, at least, easily.
Yeah. All right, the last one I always hear a lot of, especially now in the more modern times, the woke culture or whatever. Yeah. People come up and say, I just feel so bad for what my ancestors did to your ancestors. Yeah. Have you had that?
You know what? I've overheard that before.
Okay.
A few different times, and I overheard it a lot at camp when I was in North Dakota, and the thing.
Standing Rock.
Yeah, Standing Rock, right? Yeah. And the thing that came to my mind is like, well, if you feel sorry, why don't you give me the deed to your house?
Donate it to the youth program.
Donate something.
Donate to me.
Donate some of that land. If you're so if you're feeling sorry, you know what I mean. And it's just like there's, we can go on and on and on and about that whole thing. And at the end of the day, it's like, what price do you put on that?
Yeah.
It's like you're talking about giving back most, if not all, of North America and South America.
Yeah.
And until
and it's never a person who could give the land away. It's somebody who's themselves are probably going through hard times.
Until money is eradicated, I believe none of this stuff, none of this will ever come together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of control mechanisms in this society, that pits these people against these people against these people.
Mm-hmm.
And until people, until a lot of people realize that it's us versus them, and when I mean them, I mean the top 1% and I'm talking about everybody coming together and burning this motherfucker down and starting over.
Yeah.
Like, fuck these conglomerate fucking corporate fucking entities, the central banks and all that shit, because, that's the them that I'm talking about, and it's, like I said, there's a lot of control mechanisms in the society that keeps, people thinking a certain way or doing this based off of this belief that they've seen over here or, talked about, this group of people talked about, you know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy to me that a lot of other people in society don't see that. It's like, is my view from the res that skewed?
Well, I mean, you can go to Skid Row now, and probably get a similar perspective.
Yeah.
Skid Row to me looks like what the reses must have looked like when they were started out back in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
Putting all these people together in some spot that they're not used to living in.
Yeah, because you couldn't leave them.
You couldn't leave. It was just
without under
economic bondage,
under death.
Yeah.
Or beaten or thrown in jail, which back then, it's a slow death.
Sure.
Iron bars and all that shit.
So when people come to me and they say that, like, I feel so bad, like, the good part of me, like, the good part of me is always like, oh, I understand, and then what I always like to try to offer is like, well, if you really feel bad about it or it bothers you, maybe you could do something to help, the situation.
Yeah.
Like, maybe first off, step one, educate yourself on, whose land are you standing on, where do you live, is there native populations around you, and maybe you'll feel better donating time or seeing if you can help out a local youth group that's there or a native tribe that's maybe impoverished.
At-risk teens or whatever.
You never know how you can help.
There's all sorts of stuff going on in Indian country that, we always need help with. You know what I'm saying?
You're a photographer. Go there and take senior pictures of the kids. Maybe, give them a discounted rate. You're a DJ. Go there and give discounted rates for, to your services. You're a caterer. Go there, see if you can work with them and do a class educating them how to cook healthier or something. There's,
drugs and alcohol.
The
biggest fucking thing, man. And it's like when you ain't got nothing to do, and there's no jobs and shit like that. Which a lot of the reservations, are, or there's no like programs in place or stuff. No funding.
Right.
What are you going to do? Peer pressure and, drugs, alcohol, readily available, and so, there's always stuff to get involved with, you know what I mean? Like you said, if you want to help out, then, that's a place to start.
That's something anybody can do. You don't have to be native to help. Everybody can help, it's welcomed, You might have to hear some jokes here and there about you, the great white savior, stay in your lane and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day...
The great white savior, that's always the best one. It's like, then they get all like, they get all...
I'm sorry. They get offended.
They get a little offended.
But some natives get pushed back a little bit.
Hey, you're doing a good job. Like, we're just kidding.
Thank you for bringing this for me, but you're not my savior.
Thanks for bringing the good shit, not the spoiled meat and blankets,
So the good side of me is always like that. The bad part of me wants to, kind of poke fun
Yeah.
And be like, well, and I start talking about some of the history, really make them feel bad.
Yeah.
And I feel bad when my ancestors
did screw.
Yeah, well, it's the holiday season. That reminds me of to start going through the battles, not battles, but the massacres,
Yeah.
While you're celebrating Christmas, I'm thinking about Lincoln, and I start going into that story and here comes, the snow. It's so nice. I remember the Trail of Tears, and really start pushing in it. Make them feel really bad.
That ride is coming up because they
100% it's coming up. Yeah.
It's coming up in December. It's coming out this month.
It's coming up. Everyone's celebrating, and it's like, well, people over there are still living in that,
Yeah.
And sometimes what I'll tell people is I'll say, because a lot of times it's a lack of knowledge. I'll tell people, Abraham Lincoln, good old Honest Abe. People think that Honest Abe, told no lie. He was the greatest president, and he freed the slaves and all this kind of stuff. They don't really know the true history behind all of that to know that none of that's really that accurate. But what they really don't know is what he did to the native peoples up there. And how he, he called for that meeting in a peaceful way, and they all came out. In Minnesota, and they came with their families, and they set up camp to have this peaceful meeting with the United States government. He rounded them up. Their leaders, and he hung them.
Yeah.
These are people that didn't do anything wrong. He robbed them of their basic rights, and the United States murdered those people, those native leaders. And that's what honest Abe, they told no lie.
38 people,
they hung all of these leaders, and
that's still the biggest mass hanging, I believe.
Yeah, in American history.
Yeah.
But people don't know that, they don't know that. So I always tell people, you should know that. That's an American president that's beloved. You should know that about him. The worst president, of course, is got to be
Jefferson.
For the Trail of Tears. Every time I say the worst president, I want to go right to Trump, man. But I do know he did.
He's the worst looking.
He's the funniest president.
He's a fucking idiot.
No, but one thing that Trump did do that I didn't like is he called the. He's done a couple of things that are like but he called in the code talkers to honor him. But what people didn't know, this little snake, is right when he honored the code talkers, the Navajo code talkers, he took a picture of them, his arm around, all this kind of stuff. Right behind him was a picture of the worst president in American history to Native peoples, Andrew Jackson.
Oh, Andrew Jackson.
So all of those pictures, if you look at it, go out there and look at those, Google the code talkers meet Trump, look in the background. You see a huge picture of Andrew Jackson. I'm sorry, but that was not by accident. He put that picture on. Oh, he's the one that was responsible for the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
But not only that, he told the Supreme Court, who said that was unconstitutional to do that, he told them, enforce the laws then. In other words, he went against the Supreme Court to do that.
Yeah.
He went against the law of the land to do that to the native peoples.
Right.
So he pushed it beyond. And what I always tell people is I say, okay, you got Abraham Lincoln did this terrible thing, and you have Andrew Jackson, who's the worst president. Both of these guys are commemorated every day on the $5 bill and on the $20 bill. So I always tell people that come up to me, I say, I feel so bad when my ancestors did your ancestors. I always tell them, what you should do? All images of those two presidents. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Take those images, crumple them up, throw them in a bag, give them to me.
Yeah.
Give them to me as a native person, and I'll take them and get rid of that evil image of the Lincoln, and throw some Benjamins in there too. I'm not sure if he did anything wrong to Indians, but throw the Benjamins in there. Throw the $20, throw the $20 Andrew Jackson, the $5. I don't want your pennies. You keep the pennies. Throw some grants in there. You probably do bad stuff too. I don't know. Throw it all in a bag. I'll take it. I'll smudge it. I'll purify it.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it to the Feed a Hungry Indian Kid Fund.
Yeah.
I got 5 of them at home. You know what I mean? I got 5 of them in the back house ready to eat.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of all of that.
Oh yeah.
Just get rid of all that evil. You don't need that in your life, Ricky Bobby.
Just give back if you feel bad. Just give back. It doesn't matter. And that's everybody needs help. You can always find something in Indian country to help out somewhere. Just don't go in there and try to help and then try to take over and try to make it run better.
Let me tell you why you guys are so terrible and messed up. I'll fix you. It's like, okay, here we go.
Then you get into the like you said, the great white saviors. Like, next thing you're getting stoned to death for a mission.
Well, I think there's been some learning that's taking place today.
Yeah.
But there's so many other things that we talked about, and we will at a later time maybe. But I want to thank you for coming in.
Definitely.
And I want to say for everybody else out there, hopefully that this might encourage them if they're watching this, if they don't know, to go research some of these histories. In 2020 forward, as we get into the new year's coming. You know, it really is the era that if you don't know something, you know, ignorance truly is a choice. There's the internet there.
Yeah.
You have your phone. Go Google. Find out things.
Yeah, it's
Step one.
2020.
Know what land you're stepping on. Know what land you're standing on, you live on. You should know the original owners of that land. Whose Aboriginal land are you on?
Yeah.
You know, you should know that. You should probably learn their greeting if you have a chance.
Yeah.
You should, if you're a great American, if you love this nation, you want to be a great American or Canadian or whatever nation you're living on here in Turtle Island.
Yep.
You know, you should know the true history.
Definitely.
And that's what always bothers me is that people are like, well, I'm a proud American. But then you ask them about American history and they don't know anything about it.
And America is just not just the United States. It's from north to south.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's the Americas. You know, like you talk about the Americas, it's like, you know, you got north, south, central. You know, and it was all, you know, indigenous people.
And we're still here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
we're still here. So, all right, Jaden. Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice day and party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
And there we go. Thank you. Live from the Rez.